gloss over that because that's the important part. Like, I'm not doing this for charity. I want to get paid. I want to get paid quick. I want to get paid right. I want to get paid without any, additional fees and things of that nature. But in the topic of preparing, those are just some of the tips again, because I wanted to just sort of add something regarding to the supplier. I know that tells me stories. I mean, we're gonna go. This is a random moment. I forgot the bell. I should every time we do a random, I should do something like a bell or something.
Where Chika meets Chaching. Chika2Chaching.
This is one of a practical, true story about basically a brand that was looking for the U.S. market, and they traveled and did all the trade shows. They connected with a lot of opportunities, and then they went back home. I actually met them in Bali. I was in Indonesia, and they make these dietary supplement product, and it has all of this sort of claim, right, for masculinity and all of those wonderful things for a man, right? So and then they got stuck with all of these compliance claims that they have, and that's where we got involved in helping them clear those things up. So some of it really is you need to have your facility, specifically if you're going to the U.S. market, and I'm sure everybody does this. Let's specifically just talk about the U.S. side of things. You need to have your facility to be registered with the FDA. Okay, so part of that registration as a foreign supplier, you're basically doing a attestation, or you're allowing them to be able to enter your facility, allowing the FDA to inspect your process, because your product is going to be consumed by by or in the US market, or US people, right, that are living in the United States. So because of the food safety aspect of it, they need to be able to verify and validate your system, food safety system, dietary supplement, good manufacturing system, or whatnot. So that's the very first one that you need to do. So by the way, everything that we're talking about here, we can provide for you. Okay, so don't worry. So if we said something and you have a supplier overseas, just reach out to us so we can help you and take care of all of this, that part of it. The second part of it is, if you are not planning on opening your own entity in the United States, you're going to need a U.S. agent to represent you, anything with FDA, if it's or USDA or the Federal Trade Commission. If there's a food safety event, you're going to need this person or this company, right, to be your agent to take care of all of those things, and liaise that to you, being a foreign supplier. Okay. The other part of it is, if you are going to be working with an importer partner, right, make sure that's documented. I always tell our client, is it a master distributor relationship, or is it just an importer of record, right? You also need an FSVP agent, a foreign supplier verification program agent, to represent that part of it, because you have some certain fiduciary duty, right, to be able to verify you as a foreign supplier and all aspects of that, like food fraud and again, food safety, HACCP systems, which we're going to talk about in future, Chikas, right? So these are some of your main basic stuff. And then later on, we'll talk about how to protect yourself if you have a product or a formula that you're going to outsource to a co-manufacturing partner, how to protect that, right? Do you need to patent it and all of those, do you need to trademark? So there's a lot of moving parts, for that piece. Once you took care of the basic compliance part of it, everything else goes easy that way. Now you can go with, am I going to sell on Amazon or on the Filipino or supermarket that caters to international clientele here in the US? Ferdy has a lot of, or Bong has a lot of experience on getting those products. Him and I are collaborating on helping brands get into those opportunity as well. But there's some prepping that you need to prepare, for that. Okay. So let me just kind of, Bong, you want to add something?
Well, definitely. No, I wanted to, I always learn from other people. While you were talking, it reminded me a couple of things. The one thing that I appreciate about you is your meticulousness in your team to do all that, because there is a certain details that you need to do. Because in the end, if the mindset has been settled, you're committed to want to be here. There's ways where you can reduce the amount of stress that you go through in trying to bring a product into the U.S., especially in these, whether here U.S. or other places, especially in these times of trade, and the way everybody is just watching how they bring in products and to be more meticulous. You need people like Arnel and myself to be able to help you with that. But what I wanted to just add on there is that there are a lot of things that you need to learn, and you always want to look for somebody who can explain it to you in a simple way and in a very trustworthy way, and if it makes sense, obviously. So I encourage anybody really when they're thinking about that, to have conversations, have exploratory calls with people like us, not because we're promoting us, obviously, but at the end of the day, the trust part is what you need to make sure you understand and settle your mind first that you really want to be in a particular market, and say to yourself that I really want to go for it. I believe in the product, and be prepared to be a sponge. Be prepared to open your mind and say, okay, well, I want to learn. How do I get there? Well, who's going to help me? Who can I trust? Those are the things that I think that I want to add on, because at the end of the day, that's the biggest problem, I think, with a lot of exporters in the Philippines, is that they're constantly concerned about the unknown, and that's part of the whole process, Arnel, right? I mean, everybody is afraid of the unknown, and there's nothing wrong with that, but you need to seek out people that you can at least be comfortable with and trust, and the only way you're going to find that out is do exploratory calls. That's just been my go-to phrase.
Yeah, and we do that a lot. I mean, it's you always have that trust but verify kind of, especially there's a lot of gurus out there, right? And you just got to make sure everything falls in a regulatory guidelines. So, like for me, I'm very careful when I'm giving a recommendation, because all of the recommendation that we provide, they're justified by a reference on the Code of Federal Regulations. It's so if I ask a client for their raw materials, right, it does all these wonderful things, it can cure this, it can do this, right? And one of the first thing I ask for them is is it part of the GRAS, right, generally recognized as safe ingredient or raw material panel for FDA? If not, let's look into that, because somebody's going to challenge you, right? You know what I mean? Because especially if your product is on the market and it could hurt someone. There's an article out there where on the dietary supplement world, there's a lot of recorded now of liver failures because the dosage and things like that. So how, as a consumer, how do you protect yourself? As a brand, how to protect yourself from lawsuits, stemming from that.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Because you made money. So you made money on that process. So how does that work for you? So there's a lot of things to think about when it comes to on the product side of things. But just be just stick with conversation and ask a lot of questions.
Yeah, so
would be the best way to do it.
I think with the show, with this podcast, is that there's so much information, and we're not going to cover all that. We just sort of want to remind you the little nuggets of wisdom that I think you want to go ahead and just be aware of, that's going to be a part of the conversation. You're not going to work around that. The idea of preparation is also always critical. So to me, as we progress with building the show, and being helpful and being conversational, all of that all rolled into one. Hopefully all of you hang in there, give us feedback on how you think we should do the show, because at the end we're as we even were talking, we're always thinking about how do we deliver that message without being too preachy, without being boring, without all of that. So that's my thought process all the time, and I'm sure Arnel shares my sentiment. But in the end, these are conversations you will have, whether now in listening to this and asking us questions, if you want to give us a call, or somewhere down the line. So the moment you made up your mind, then you just need to constantly have that conversation and not get trapped into people who will promise you the world. I'm not going to get into the talking shit part about other companies that do certain things. At the end of the day, everybody will have a certain comfort level with anybody, but I'm a big fan of baby steps, because it's a big undertaking that you're doing going into the US market or other markets for all that matter. So the show is about that, but it's not about to preach, because if you want to know more about it, then just give us a call. I mean, reach out to us.
Reach out to us, be part of it right
Yeah.
here. If you wanna be part of the podcast, just let us know. This is also great for promoting your product. If you're reaching out
Correct.
looking for collaboration or partnership with a co-manufacturing or an entrepreneur, reach out with our bandwidth per se, and that's what we want to do. We want to be able to assist on or be part of your success journey, and also nightmares, right? I mean, you as an entrepreneur, you've seen a lot of things out there where you might be bashful to share your story. You can send that to us and we can discuss that. You can come to the show and discuss that with us as well. So it's a very open forum. Bong and I, we want to create that open culture, for us to discuss and learn.
Here's another practical tidbit that people can actually do. When Arnel and I talk about AI, okay, I'm gonna throw it out there because that's the elephant in the room for me.
Mhm.
When I talk about AI, I always talk about the practical uses of it, right? I've always felt that moving forward, what AI will do for any business, for all that matter, is that it's going to speed up a lot of different things for you. Whether it be research or just responding to people and things like that. But if you are an AI fan right there listening to this thing, you could literally go to AI and just download whatever information you need to follow the steps on how to do that. Okay, so great, you've done that. But I think what it still won't do for you is give you the experiences of somebody who's been in the business and have done that. And again, somebody being the business doesn't mean that you can work with them. You still need to know people that you can get along with. So there's still I recommend anybody to go there and learn the steps. So your discussion with anyone like Arnel or me will be easy. For us, that's what I think what brings the value of Arnel services and business in mind, is because we're able to give you stories and practical tips on what you just read means. And again, these are all things that just helps you become more aware. So that's why I'm saying that to you, because a lot of this information, you can get it. But what you can't get is the idea that somebody is going to guide you so that you don't lose money, you don't waste a lot of time in terms of what to do with the information that you have and how to formulate it. Okay. And again, it's all about the mindset. That's just how I think, Arnel. I mean, I don't know if you agree
I
with
think
me.
no, that's perfect. It's true that AI. It's what is that? There's a YouTube article slash film, whatever we're calling it now, about the CEO of Ford saying 50% of a white collar workforce, like admin, office people, are going to be going away because of AI, right? So as an entrepreneur, I mean, you got to then take a look at that and says, okay, You can look at it on a negative way, saying, "Okay, I'm going to lose my job, so I better hurry up and and jump
Mhm.
into to these things that I want to do." And then on the other part of it, and says, "Okay, how do I use AI to launch my business?
Yep.
If it's doing all of that, so how do I then utilize that?" And everything is there. Everything's on YouTube as well, and
Yep.
and we're part of that world now. Um, and as humans, we love to share information. So AI is gathering all of this information to become a tool for us. Or if we stood by, it'll become our demise, right? So because they'll be like, "Hey, I want to, I want to be, I want to be a mathematician." They were like, "Oh, we have AI that can calculate the to and from Mars." You know what I mean? "Oh, I want to do this or I want to do that," and it'll take care of it for you.
With me, as I delve more into the use of AI, what I'm finding out about myself is that I could have all that knowledge, okay, but if I'm really not into it or not motivated or mind's not right, then I don't really do anything with it, okay? So what does that mean to people listening and wanting to pursue what they want to pursue with their business, especially when the exporting part or any of that? Yeah, again, I keep going back to the mindset. You can have all that information, but if you're not motivated to follow through and work through it, then it really, that's why what I mean about AI. Yeah, it will do that, what you just said, Arnel, but there's going to be people who just waste that. And
Yeah.
the thing that we discussed also is that people who have ideas, you mentioned you have an idea. Let's say, or an opportunity, what do you do with that? That's where a lot of AI situations can help you, and especially with the services that you provide, you can help them with a lot of different things regarding a product that they might want to export, right? I mean, you have that.
I think for us, the incubation part of it, right? So if you have an idea, let's say you're in Dubai or another country,
Hmm.
and you see these opportunities and you just want to voice it out and says, "Hey, I see these things, you know how do I take advantage of that?" Reach out to us. That's what we're here to kind of explore and help you grow that seed, have that idea sprout, and hopefully it turns into an opportunity for you. Sometimes we're stuck, you know what I mean? So as entrepreneurs, we're kind of like, "Man, I didn't get into business for this thing to own me," right? But in the beginning, you're doing everything, right? You're it. And if you can't accept that, you shouldn't be in it, right? But the nice thing about that is that gives you part of your journey. It's your experience. And then as you slowly replace yourself with with the hiring process, you're good to go. You know what I mean? So nobody can fool you on that particular process, uh,
Hmm.
and things like that.
Well, see, when I mentioned the idea and preparing for the U.S. market, I'm trying to always stay on topic about what we're doing regarding the preparation, right? So to me, preparing, just like you said, like if you have an idea, how do you do it? Your team can do all that. At the end of the day, also, there are people out there who are, on the flip side, are looking for different products, because I know that there are suppliers, and then there are buyers, and that I deal with on a daily basis, that all of this could be, something that we always deal with. And for those right now listening also, and we've discussed this, whereas how do you find a supplier? Like if you're interested in any Philippine product, that's another thing that we always want to encourage, because it's one thing to encourage a lot of suppliers to go out and market their product, but we also want to encourage potential buyers to look into these products right now. I mean, that's another thing that I'm always doing, and I'm sure you're also working with buyers also. So we talked about, how do you qualify a supplier? That's what one of the things that we talked about. How do you qualify a buyer, right? So those are the things that we probably might want to touch on a little bit today, in to stay in sync with our topic of how do you prepare for the U.S. market.
No, definitely. To to your point, um, when you're looking at buyers, how do you put that together, right? So are you looking direct to consumers, or are you looking for like corporate buyers, right? Like the Costco, Walmart, supermarket chain and things like that. So the nice thing about it is, if you are, let's say you're targeting a certain supermarket brand, are you looking for a supermarket that has 3 to 25 supermarket as part of their chain, which is on the smaller part of it? Or are you looking for a supermarket that does minimum of 50 million per month,
Hmm.
right? Of revenue. The reason why I put that out there, so there's a data set. Typically, those big companies, they're very organized, and they pay their bills. You know what I mean? So sometimes when you're dealing with the smaller market, you also have that part of, do they pay their bills on time and things like that. But with that opportunity, it also involves a lot of compliance aspect of it. So they have certain requirements that you need to fill out and stuff. And we can list those later on. But so you got to be prepared for that. And then you look at yourself as the supplier. Can I handle that volume?
Hmm.
Right. So and not on that not only on the manufacturing part of it, it's also the marketing part, because the supermarket, they're a point of sale system, and they're gonna ask you, what are you doing to promote your product so you can bring people in my door, right, at my store, so they can come in, right? And that you got to be prepared, to answer that. Are you
Hmm.
doing social media, commercial, TV ads, Google ads? What are you doing, you know to promote your brand, right? So anyways, yeah, so those are the type of things that you need to be prepared of when we're talking, what I'm talking about, buyers per se. And then if they are just brokers, what does that look like? If somebody's just a broker, um you know type of payment, are you willing to float a container for 30, 60, 90 days? Like I have client from Denmark, and that's what they have to do to get their cheese product to the supermarket,
Hmm.
right? So and you're looking at 500,000 to $1 million of product out there that's need to be financed, right? As part of the
Hmm.
deal. Or some of our, like for the Philippines, sometimes I just want to get paid when it leaves my door,
Yeah,
right?
I mean
And
that's a
that's
lot of
typically.
that's a lot of different things that you need to consider. That's the reason why I think our podcast is so rich in the content, because
Mhm.
just on itself, when it comes to getting paid, is going to be something that everybody wants to listen to. And
Yeah, it's kind of, how do I finance that?
yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, so I
Mhm.
don't want us to gloss over that, because that's the important part. Like, I'm not doing this for charity. I want to get paid. I want to get paid quick. I want to get paid right. I want to get paid without any additional fees and things of that nature. But in the topic of what do you call it, preparing, those are just some of the tips again, because I wanted to just sort of uh, add something regarding to the supplier. I know that tells me stories. I mean, we're gonna go. This is a random moment. I forgot the bell. I should every time we do a random, I should do something like a bell or something. Anyway, to with Filipino manufacturers, that it's a phrase called "kaya yan," but in basically that means, oh yeah, that's cool, that's okay, we can do that, and they really can, and they just like to say that. And I've had my share of those type of suppliers that people
Mm.
need to be careful of. So those
Let
are
me
the
add to that real quick, Bong. It's
yeah,
kakayanin ko yan.
kakayanin ko yan. Okay, there you
I'll
go.
make it happen,
Yeah.
right?
Where Chika meets Chaching. Chika Chaching.